Good day, everyone. It's David Paul speaking. Welcome to our video series, The 8 Vital Tips for Stock Market Trading Success. This is the fourth video of the series. In the first video, I talked about tips 1, 2, and 3, which were all risk and position sizing related. In video number 2, I spoke about how to manage trades and how to make sure that you don't allow winners to turn into losers. And in the last video, we talked about trading in the very best shares. And let me remind you, I'm David Paul. I've been trading in the stock markets of the world since October 1982. And over the last few years, I've been helping retail traders in the UK to become more consistent and to increase their performance. So tip number 6 is that we want to use both fundamental and technical analysis, ladies and gentlemen. We certainly don't want to be buying into shares that are falling. We want to buy into shares that are rising in price and not falling in price. We want to paddle with the stream. There's a whole industry out there that tries to get you to buy into shares that are falling. It's the old 2 for the price of 1 mentality. And that 2 for the price of 1 mentality has bankrupted more traders than anything else in my over 30 years experience. So I have a little quiz for you. I've got 3 charts. Now those charts are all daily bars over the last year. Which one would you rather buy? If you could only buy one of them, which one would you rather buy? 1, top left, 2, top right, and 3, the chart at the bottom of the page. I'm glad to say that when I've done this live, pretty much everybody says the chart at the bottom of the page, because it's actually doing what you want to do. It's moving up the page with little volatility. And really all you had to do was to buy these breaks, and you would have made some really good money along the way. I'm not saying for a second that we don't buy a pullback in an up market, but nevertheless, we want to paddle with the stream. Now, the share in number 1 is falling, and unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, if that's a bottom, you've just been lucky, I'm afraid. And I traded on the floor of the Chicago Merc for a while, and there they say that top and bottom pickers become cotton pickers. Livermore puts it really well in Reminiscences of a Stock Operator, wonderful book, when he says that I've never seen a share too low not to go lower and too high not to go higher. And of course, chart number 2, well, in hindsight, it would have been easy to have bought there and sold there, I suppose, but it's much, much more difficult on the hard right shoulder. Try it if you don't believe me. At VectorVest, we advocate buying into shares that are share prices moving up the page with little volatility. And if you look, there's plenty of them. So we favor a fairly simple and pragmatic checklist. The stock price is steadily rising and not too volatile. The company's making money and growing their earnings, and we want to favor undervalued stocks. This is what we talked about in the last video. And again, that is a model chart. You can see the share price rising. That's in fact chart number 3 from the previous example. The share is rising, little volatility. In the window below the price, I've got earnings per share, and earnings per share, as I said in the last video, is the engine that's driving the share price up the page, and it's moving up linearly from the bottom left to the top right of its window. And the green is the VectorVest valuation, and the share is trading below the VectorVest valuation. So the next step, folks, is simply to do it. So let's have a go. And if I get out of my presentation and discard all my lines and go into VectorVest itself. Now there's VectorVest UK, and we'll talk about the front page and market timing. That's in the next video. But if I go to viewers, and those of you that are new to VectorVest will have to click on Stock Viewer to populate the spreadsheet. All of the shares of the London market are in fact sorted by Dr. Toledo's proprietary master indicator, VST, Value, Safety and Trend. But we've also got another parameter called CI, the Comfort Index, which finds shares that are trending with little volatility. So the Comfort Index looks at the trend, the long-term trend of the share. It looks at the volatility of the trend. And if the share is trending and the trend is getting stronger with little volatility, then it marks well on the Comfort Index. The Comfort Index, like everything else in VectorVest, is graduated between 0 and 2. And a Comfort Index above 1.3 finds a share that is in the throes of a strong trend with little volatility. And if I wanted to find those, all I've got to do is to click on CI, and there they are. Augean have had a great run in. But remember, our objective is to find undervalued stocks that are growing their earnings strongly, that are in the throes of a nice trend, to try and put together fundamental analysis and technical analysis. So what I've done very quickly in our UniSearch facility is to write such a search. So I want the stock to have a comfort index of greater than 1.3. And a greater than 1.3 finds the share that's in the throes of a strong trend with little volatility. And if you've ever read any of my material on VectorVest, I call the comfort index VectorVest's secret weapon. It's completely unique. Nobody else has got it, and it saves weeks of work looking at charts. Second line is that the price of the share is less than its value. Remember, we want to favor undervalued shares. And the third line, earnings per share. Remember, earnings per share is the engine that drives the share price. The rate of change of earnings per share, which is known mathematically as delta, over the last 13 weeks is greater than 5%. So that means that earnings per share is rising at 20% a year, more than 20% a year. And I've run that search this morning as I'm recording this on the 12th of March. I'll run it again for you. And these are the companies that come up today, and I just want to chart those, and let's have a look. Diversified oil and gas I've been looking at for a very long time. As you can see, earnings per share has grown from next to nothing to 15 pence over the last year, so that's a 3x in the last year. It's gone gapped, gone sideways in this. I thought it was away here, but it in fact came back and kissed the lows over the last day or two. So this is one that I'm watching, and I think that it's significantly undervalued. And in my own portfolio, I haven't bought it because I have got several other oil stocks. Hydrogen. This share, earnings per share growing, significantly undervalued. It's broken out of this little symmetrical triangle, gone sideways for a day or two. That looks good to me. Okay, that looks good to me. It's a tad illiquid. I could have easily put a liquidity filter into that search. I didn't, but a liquidity filter may in fact get rid of that one. John Lang I'm holding, and the little lines in the chart show exactly where I got in, where I put my stop loss. And it's pushing up the page. I'm very happy with it. Significantly undervalued, earnings per share growing strongly. 3i Infrastructure, and moving up the page, earnings per share maybe not moving up the way I would like it, so maybe I'll give that one a miss. This is an interesting little share. This is wind power, a investment trust in renewables, and earnings per share rising and significantly undervalued. That's certainly worth a long look. Lindsell Train, well, Lindsell Train, clearly those of you that have followed Nick Train over the years, the UK's premier investor, sort of the UK's Warren Buffett, in fact, and this has pulled back over the last day or two to these old tops, undervalued. Earnings per share hasn't made a blip in 20 years, so that's certainly worth a look. Another little investment trust, earnings per share rising, worth a look. And this company, relatively newly listed, earnings per share moving from unprofitable to profitable, and based on that, VectorVest has revalued the share. It's come back and kissed its listing price here, and I think a push up the page here, and that would certainly be interesting. So that's a search that you can run every day that will find trading opportunities. I hope this has helped. Just remember, in this business, we're paid to make good decisions, and if you put together fundamental analysis and technical analysis, then you can simply make a better decision than by just using one of them alone. I'll be back with the next video soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you for taking the time to watch that presentation, but I know you're eager for more. So if you're looking for region-specific information, check out the UK and AU channels right here. Looking for more great VectorVest content? Click this video right here. If nothing else, folks, click the subscribe link right here.